Welcome to Beyond the Garden Gate, a new series coming this spring. Hosted by Linda Temperino, an avid gardener herself, she will take us on tours of local area gardens, both public and private. We will also learn from their owners about their successes and sometimes even their failures. On this episode, we'll travel to the Miracle Acres Tree Farm in Milford, New Hampshire with owner Dave Wheeler to learn the differences in finding that perfect Christmas tree and how to take care of it once it's in your home. Later, we'll travel to Linda's own garden as she highlights some of the issues she had in dealing with the summer heat, as well as her beautiful collection of ornamental grasses. Now, please enjoy this episode of Beyond the Garden Gate.
Good morning, this is Linda Temperino, and I live in Nashua, but today we're out here in Milford at Miracle Acres Tree Farm. In the spring, we'll be running a show on public access called Beyond the Garden Gate. Well, it's a little chilly for gardening, so we came up here to check out the Christmas trees and see what we have so far for this year's group of trees. Yeah. This is Dave Wheeler. He's the owner of Miracle Acres Farm. How many acres do you have here, Dave?
Well, we got 60 acres here, and we got about 14 acres of Christmas trees. We got about 7,000 trees out here at various stages of readiness.
Wow.
And got people out here today on this nice brisk cold day getting their tree and taking advantage of people being home for the holidays, get them set up.
It sure beats being at the mall today, doesn't it?
I like it.
Now, this is a what species?
This is a Fraser fir tree. And you can kind of tell Fraser firs because the needles kind of wrap around rather than being flat on the bottom. They're maybe a little shorter than a balsam fir tree, but they're still a fir in the same family. And people like Fraser firs because they have the best needle retention. If you were to cut this tree today, the needles would stay on this for the most part into January.
Is that right?
They're very, very good for needle retention. Not quite as good as a balsam fir, which is very, very fragrant. But they have good needle retention too when they're cut fresh on a farm like this.
Okay, over here we have a beautiful blue spruce.
Yes.
It's even showing us there's beautiful, beautiful pine cones. They don't get much bigger than that, do they?
That's about the size of the cones that the spruce get. You can tell spruce because the needles are prickly. Blue or regular spruce, which is more of a green color. This is kind of a greenish blue, the blue spruce. They're always prickly, but a lot of people like them for Christmas trees because their branches are stiff.
And you can put heavyweight ornaments on them. You can put heavyweight
ornaments on a spruce, and it performs very nicely. Nice fresh tree, the needles don't fall off.
No, they don't.
And that'll make an awesome Christmas tree.
How long does it take for a tree to get to be this size?
This tree here is about 12 years old.
Wow, it takes a long time.
It takes a long time. If you look around, you can see that some of the bigger trees have been cut, and you can see that they kind of grow at different rates, even though one's right aside of the other. And so we generally say between 8 and 12 years for a good-sized 7 to 8 foot tree that most people buy.
And when people come out here, do you provide the sod for the cutting them down, or do they do it themselves, or do you have someone help them do it?
Most people come for the experience of cutting their own tree, and we always provide saws that they can borrow or they can bring their own. And usually the kids take a turn with mom and dad on the saw, and it makes a really fun family day.
Well, today is a perfect weather-wise, but if we had 2 feet of snow, do you recommend people come out early in the season, like maybe in September, and tag their tree to be cut down later on in the season?
We don't have enough trees to have people pre-mark them. They sell so fast. We're sold out in 2 weekends, and so we just have them come and pick them and take them with them. And if they're not ready to put it up, we suggest that they just put it in a bucket of water in the shady side of the house or in the garage until they're ready to set it up, and they'll be fine.
Yeah. Now, is there any rule of thumb as to how big or how small the tree should be for your site? You know, with say you have a 10-foot ceiling. Would you say maybe 2 feet lower than your ceiling?
I think it's, mostly personal preference. But most people buy a tree that fills the room. And they always look smaller, out here in the big field than they do when you try to get them through the door.
I saw one going by and I thought, holy cow, I hope they have wide doors to get that tree through.
Yeah,
it's
we net
enormous.
them so they can get them through the door, squeeze them down a little bit. But we sell mostly 8-foot trees, and that's your average ceiling height.
Now, do you trim them back during the year, during their growth period, so they have a nice shape?
Generally, we trim them in July, and we try to take and keep the top. We go like this, no longer than 9 inches of growth per year, and that helps the tree fill in. And then only one main leader on the top, and then your second whorl, can have 3 or 4 leaders.
Yeah.
And that also helps the tree fill in. And you can see here that, next year's buds, this was going to have 3 branches right here at the tip. And so your trees fill in exponentially as they get older.
Wow. I remember when my boys were little, it was always the youngest one's job to crawl under the tree every day and water it to make sure that it was getting plenty of water.
Yeah.
Do you recommend misting them to keep them to help keep them moist?
If you take a fresh cut on the bottom of the tree, if you're buying it off of a lot, and get it in water right away, that's the best thing to do. You can mist them so that they don't dry out, but keeping them in water is the most important thing as soon as you get the tree home.
And keep them away from the fireplace.
Keep them away from fireplaces, and if you have forced hot air heat, keep it away from the heat ducts.
Yeah.
Tape that heat duct shut for the year if your tree has to go in the corner where the heat duct is.
Good
or,
idea.
or the heater,
Yeah.
so that it doesn't dry out.
Yeah. So, well, can we come over here and look at some baby trees?
Sure. Let's take a look at the baby trees that were planted this year.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, Dave, here we are in the nursery.
Yep.
When did you plant this tree?
Well, this is how it all gets started. This tree here is 4 years old since it was a seed.
4 years old.
Yeah. And we buy them as seedlings. Some of these come from the New Hampshire State Nursery, and they come as bare root stock every spring. Very early in the spring, before the buds break, probably in the middle of April. We plant these, sometimes into the 1st of May, depending upon the weather.
And then, so these trees over here, they're about a year or so older.
That field in that corner there, they're about a year older, and you can see that they're 4 or 5 inches taller, and they've kind of gotten their dark green color, and that they're settled in and healed in, and they're got a nice color to them now too.
Yeah. So, how many do you lose over the winter from? If you have a really severe winter, what are the chances of these little ones surviving?
Winter is not our problem. They survive very well with the cold and the snow. They do just fine. It's drought that's our problem, up here. So we have to, a year like this, we have to keep the water on, and we had a drought in April in this year, which we never have.
Yeah.
So we got to keep them watered, and if we lose them, we'll replant them.
Do you have an irrigation system up here, or is that kind of prohibitive with the well situation?
No, we have water that we can use to pump, and keep them alive if we can. But it's a lot to keep alive, so it's hard to stay ahead of it.
We're over in the shade and out of the wind, and this is Bethany Wheeler, and she's making wreaths, and these are what size wreath is this?
This is our large wreath. It's 32 inches.
32 inches. Yep. And how long does it take you to make one of these?
About 40 minutes.
Woo!
Yeah.
You're fast. Now, what you use to hold on is it wire or fishing line?
It's a special ring, and it has little U-clips on them.
Yeah, I see that.
This table has a little pincher here, so I arrange my brush in the U as I want it, arrange it, and then when I'm ready I just step on the pedal and it pinches those closed, holds it right in place for
let
me.
me see you do that. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That makes the job a lot easier.
It does.
Yeah.
It definitely does.
And how do you embellish these wreaths? With just a ribbon or pine cone?
We put bows on them. We leave some plain. Some people like to decorate them with their stuff that they have back at home. So we do the bows or the plains.
Well, I wish I had one of these tables at home. I'd go into business, but I would have to do it in the house. It's too cold out
It
here.
does get cold, yes.
And how many of these do you do?
As many as I need to. I did a couple handfuls yesterday and kind of stocking up the wall to decorate it up, and people can take them off as they want them. And
Good afternoon. My name is Linda Temperino, and I live here in Nashua. And I thought we'd like to discuss with the audience today a little bit about the effects that this brutal summer has had on our garden. This tree is an example. We thought it was heat stressed, and we kept dumping water on it, and it really didn't help at all. But to find out it does have a virus, and it has also affected the bark of the tree as well. This is a perfect example of this fungus or whatever it is. This is supposed to be a very nice green leaf, and it's all brownish maroon, and it's completely dried up. Now, some of you may have noticed when you're coming up on Route 3 from Massachusetts, you'll see the electronic signs that says, "Do not transport firewood." What has happened is people coming up to our wonderful forest to do some camping, and they're bringing up their own firewood, and they're transporting an insect which has had a serious effect on the ash trees in northern New Hampshire. I'm not sure if this is the problem that has affected this tree. We will find out on Wednesday because it's coming down, unfortunately. These trees over here, these are variegated dogwoods. Unfortunately, they are heat stressed, and there's not too much we can do about it at this time, but just nourish them and keep them going, and hopefully next summer they will not have to endure this problem again. Speaking of the heat this summer, there's another aspect of gardening that really took a bad hit, and that was our lawns. Now, our lawn has still maintained its nice green lush look to it. It's not the most attractive. Most people do like a very well manicured lawn, but with the summer that we've had, my husband has discovered, and we've read about it as well, is keeping the grass longer, raising the blade on your lawnmower up one notch, and mulching. And that has helped also. We don't rake up all this cut grass and send it out to be recycled. We're just recycling it right back into our own lawn. And it is a nice green lush lawn this year. So you can see how thick the grass is when I move my foot back and forth, and it's also very, very cool to the touch. But I'd like to show you another aspect of gardening, something that has really taken on in the last couple of years. So come with me. So now we're going to move over to the other part of the garden, and this is probably my favorite. In the last couple of years, ornamental grasses have become very, very popular because of their low maintenance. I have not touched this garden all summer, and there are very, very few weeds. It doesn't require a lot of water, and as you can see, they come in different shades of green, and these little tassels will turn red in the fall, about the color of the house. And it's just a neat place for the birds to hang out in the wintertime when they come to the feeder.
And they also, the birds love to go into the peach tree as well. But the grasses, they love to hover around it because they can hide from our kitties that are in the neighborhood.